Have you experienced the wonderful experience of like meeting a child in your kid's class or something and just being like, I fucking hate that kid. And it's like a
Of
5-year old.
course.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, good. I'm not alone here. Because I've experienced that for the very first time. There's a 5-year old on my son's baseball team, and I just fucking hate that kid. I hate him so
Yeah.
much. I hate him. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
his name, for privacy,
Yeah.
but let's just say it rhymes with Schmarls.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So you didn't do baseball with your kids, but like there's some kids, and this is what this kid does. Well, he will run all the way across the field anytime a ball is hit a certain direction. He will run to it. If he's on first base and it's hit to third base, he will sprint across the diamond and slam into the third base kid, patiently waiting to collect the ground ball, which already annoys
Okay.
me. Already annoys
Uh-huh.
me. It's like, and I feel like every coach tells him to stop doing this, and he just doesn't listen. And he's like knocked several kids over. He's also like the biggest kid on the team by a significant
Uh-huh.
margin. And then today at practice, he did that again, only the kid that was there waiting for the ball got it first. And then as that kid was preparing to throw the ball to first, he grabbed his arm to prevent him from throwing it.
Fine. Yeah.
And I just want to be like, kick this guy off the field. Get him off the field. I know you can't do that, but he's not my kid, and therefore I despise him. Hello and welcome to Flanagan's Wake, a Doof Media podcast sending Mike Flanagan back in time to teach us how to beat his game. My name is Scott Daly, and I am your host. And joining me, as always, we're here to wish him a very happy death day. It's Matt Freeman. Happy death day, Matt.
Wait, what?
Oh, don't worry about it, buddy. I didn't know he was going to do. Oh, God. He's committed to the bit. All right. Well, that concludes Flanagan's Wake. We will see you all when I have a new host.
I've time traveled.
Yay!
That's what it looks like.
That's how it happens, yeah.
Yep.
Hope you didn't drool on your desk there.
No.
This week on the show, The Midnight Club continues with episode 5, See You Later. Anya survives her overdose thanks to Alanka, and we celebrate Amesh's death day as he tells the story about a nerdy kid who just wants to save the world and get the girl. Oh, also, there's cult stuff, too. Matt,
Yep.
Episode 5, See You Later. What did you think?
I enjoyed this one. I felt like it had a lot of heart. It had a lot of moments that really affected me in a deeper way. You know, like several. We'll talk about each of them. I've listed them out. And I enjoyed the B plot as well. The inner story. I mean, I'm a sucker for sci-fi of any kind with non-existent standards, frankly. So, it's not a surprise that I like this episode as the first, I think, kind of overt sci-fi.
Yeah.
You could argue that, but whatever. Close enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was my take. What'd you think?
I'm glad to hear that. I've kind of been dreading this episode a little bit because this is the one that I think in my watch that I did, in preparation for this whole thing was the one that I really felt that I did not like as much. It's like when I'm thinking about my mixed feelings about the show, this is the episode that kept popping up in my head as I was thinking that. So I was kind of nervous about it, and I did the thing I do when I get nervous, which is over prepare. That's how I handle it. So I watched this episode 7 times. some ridiculous number. Like literally at work today, I found myself with some free time, and I was like, I'll just to make sure I got everything, I'll go ahead and watch it again. Really, what it is me largely like I struggle with the B plot as much, and like it's kind of. I'm almost like confounded by why I struggle with it, and that's why I spend so much time looking at it, and that's why I'm actually ultimately like looking forward to us having this conversation. I think sometimes I come to these episodes like with a very clear idea of what I'm going to say and what I think, and then sometimes I come to these conversations very much ready to hear and conclude definitively live as we talk. And this is definitely the latter for me, where I'm very interested in really inspecting why a B plot about video games, which I love, featuring one of my favorite Flanagan actors, Rahul Kohli, um, and a science fiction thing, which I love, did not work on me in a way that, like, for example, last week's episode with the Sandra story, which is silly and ridiculous and maybe has some of the same problems this one has, but I just kind of shrugged that off and like universally loved it. I'm really wanting to get to the bottom of like why that is, and I have some ideas about maybe why this stuff didn't work for me, but that's really what I'm looking forward to most here today, is getting to that. And I think one thing that happened in while I was kind of obsessively trying to do that is I also, like, all the great stuff in the episode rose to the top as I watched it more. So like, while I still think I'm fairly mixed on the B plot stuff on Amesh's story itself, I agree with you that there is so much heart in this episode. There's so many great moments in this episode. There's so much good here that stuff, the stuff that like kind of the niggling like stuff that bothered me, started to be like turned down a little bit the more times I watched it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I'm also interested to figure out kind of what is the alchemy that didn't work for you here, and maybe talk about why overall the episode worked so well for me. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know that I'm going to be saying like, oh no, Scott, the B plot was the best. It's like, no, that's not. That's not really it. It's just I was so sold. I think I can say it very succinctly, actually. I am so enjoying the show, and I am so sold on the drama of all the characters that for me, the B plot, I processed it as an articulation of Amesh's story, of his internal drama, not as a story on its own merits.
Sure.
Right. So, take that as you will. It's always interesting when we have a binary divided Scott Matt situation, or a BDSM situation, in other words.
Jesus Christ. Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Every once in a while we get a BDSM on the show. It's not common.
I don't even know what why have you done this? You've put this out into the world, and now I would not even say it's, I don't even want to acknowledge this with a response, but I think it's going to be less like Matt loves this, Scott hates this type stuff. I don't think we're ever in that situation. I just think it's going to be, why did I not like this as much?
Yeah.
As I was maybe expecting to, or what have you. And I think, largely, I think I agree with you that, like, again, Give Me a Kiss is a perfect example of this. And this is what we've been doing throughout the entire show so far, which is that, like, look, this is a story on its own, but its relevance here is the context in which it lives in the character who's telling the story. And we can look at a story like Give Me a Kiss, which is kind of like objectively silly and nonsensical in a lot of ways, and be like, yeah, but like that's the point, because Sandra and yada yada yada. And that, yeah, I'm very curious why I couldn't just easily look at this and go, yeah, but that's the point. This is a Amesh's story, and because I 100% agree that everything going on in here as it connects to what Amesh is going through as a character and what he's trying to convey through his story, and what is revealed about him through his story that maybe he's not even consciously conveying, like, works on me big time, because he's like one of my favorite characters on the show, which is another reason I'm like confounded that I think it's just like some of the plot machinations of this B story, it feels so rushed that it's like, whoa, what are we even doing here? Whoa. And we can get into the detail of that as we go, but yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting thing for me, and just state again, like, I think there's so much good in this episode that I really do like it, and I think saying that it's possibly the worst episode of Midnight Mass is like Midnight Club, is not saying it's the worst episode of television, right? Anything like that.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I agree with that statement. We'll see, but
yeah.
So yeah, that's my complex feelings. I hope we can really get into them, and maybe you can turn me over to your side in the BDSM relationship.
Well, we usually do enjoy stuff more when we talk about it, but
Yeah,
maybe you'll maybe make me dislike it. We'll see. We'll see.
I
Stay tuned.
Sincerely hope that's not going to happen. Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. Episode 5. See you later. This episode was written for TV by Julia Bicknell and Mike Flanagan. It was directed by Emmanuel Osei Kafour. This guy is a first-time Flanagan director. We have not talked about him yet on this show, but he's one of those like journeyman directors. And what I mean when I say that is that, you know, this industry has plenty of people that we love to call auteurs and do whole podcasts about them. But a lot of the people that work in this industry are just people that are just, you know, doing day-to-day work. And especially in the world of TV, there are a lot of directors that come in amongst many shows and just come in for an episode, direct an episode of TV, and then go on to their next project. And this is a director that does exactly that. Of course, he directed one episode of the show. He's also directed one episode of Shogun, a show that you and I quite enjoyed. He directed one episode of Welcome to Derry, a show that I struggled with. Let me just say this. I think See You Later is a better episode than just about anything in Welcome to Derry. So maybe that's where we can like level set here. I struggle with that show a whole lot. And then he also directed an episode of Star Trek Discovery. Those are the ones I think you know. There's some more shows that I haven't seen. But yeah, the point is he's the type of director that comes in. It must be very hard to do that, right? You know, you think about that, like you come into a show, especially a group like this where everyone is very established. The first 4 episodes were directed by Flanagan or Famignari, who have been a director cinematographer pair for years and years and years. You have a group of a lot of actors that are very used to working with this guy, a lot of other members of the team behind the camera, and you have to jump into the situation, hand it a script, and go, all right, go, direct it, make it look like all the other stuff too. Go. That's a tough situation to be in.
Yeah. I was just kind of visualizing that as you were talking about this job of journeyman director, where it's like, you know, you have to familiarize yourself with the set and all the angles and all the lighting, and you're sort of from first principles having to figure out how to go about this. You're maybe you haven't worked with any of these actors before. I mean, I can really see the benefit of having one director direct all or most episodes of a show, because it's literally just reps. Like you figure everything out by the end, instead of just having to figure it all out one time, and then you shoot one episode and then you're gone to do something else.
It's really interesting because this is like the way most television is made, like this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the struggle is you bring a director in. You know, this kind of happened in Bly Manor. I'm blanking on the director's name right now. She'll be back. She directs 2 episodes of this show in a couple weeks. I think next week's and the weeks after she directs, but she's the one that came in to do the flashback episode of Bly Manor, that episode 9. And that's the type of thing where you bring in a director very specifically to like do their thing, like where it was a very stylistic episode. It was intentionally not an episode that matched the style of photography and lighting and everything that the rest of the show had. But this is an episode where at least the stuff in Brightcliff like should match the general like look and feel and view of the show. And I think this director pulls that off. I like that. I think this show looks and feels like an episode of The Midnight Club.
Yeah, I agree.
So it is like, you wonder if you're a director, and like we talked a lot about Flanagan's style and Famignari's style as a director, and then you're like one of these journeyman directors that like comes in and like you want to have your own stylistic flourish. You have things that like you would do given full reign to shoot this scene, but maybe that wouldn't fit within the style of the show, and so you have to rein yourself in and maybe and I'm not even saying this happened. I don't think the things that I dislike about the show have anything to do with this director. But maybe like you lose a little bit of your own personal flair in that process.
Yeah. I mean, while we're speculating wildly, I would expect that you don't get asked to come back if you do some weird shit that like the director doesn't like, and maybe the critics also don't like, you know. I'm just thinking about, you know, I know the world has changed, but I'm thinking about like Star Trek TNG or something. Like you're not going to get asked to come back if you come on there and you start doing all kinds of avant-garde camera movements or whatever. It's like, no, this is this is a very specific thing that we do here.
Yeah.
Regardless of who the director is, there are no avant-garde shots in that entire show. So
you're talking about the Next Generation, not
yeah.
not the Midnight Club, right? Yeah. Okay.
I'm talking about TNG. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, it must be tough, and you think, the people that see success and continue to work in this stuff are the people that can come into a system very quickly, pick it up, go make it look good, and like it matches the rest, and then go on to the next project, right? It seems like this guy has had success in that, and so, and despite some qualms, I think this is a pretty good looking episode, and I think we're going to talk about some of the flourishes of it that I really liked.
Yeah.
The episode was edited by Lucy Donaldson, Mike Flanagan, and Jason Hellman. I think Lucy Donaldson is a new name there. The other two we've seen, of course, we've seen Mike Flanagan's name in the editor's spot, but I don't believe we've read Lucy's name before, so a new editor there. And James Neist is back as the DP. He was the DP on the first two Flanagan directed episodes, and then McNary picked up and did his own in his two, but now we're back to James here. All right, so that's the main crew. Matt, where would you like to begin in See You Later?
Well, first I'll make a meta note, which is that we've kind of already started talking about the A plot and the B plot as the outer plot involving the kids, and the B plot as the story that they tell. In my notes this week, I was inspired to create a C plot, which is the C plot is all the murder cult stuff and the ghost stuff. So I'm mentally separating the like drama and the stuff that I'm really super invested in with the kids and their struggles from the conspiracy theory cult and the ghosts and the hallucinations.
I say so. Okay.
I do say so.
You say so? Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, this episode almost has two stories in it, right? It has Amesh's story, See You Later, but yeah, it also does have Alanka kind of reading to us and to Kevin what she learned in the diary they found at the very end of last episode. So I think calling that a C plot is fair, for sure.
Yeah, and maybe that's just one thing about this episode is it felt separate to me in a way that it has like the extra murder plots that I keep saying murder. I don't know why the cult stuff felt kind of separate to me in this episode. So that's another reason why. And really note the reason why I put it that way in my notes is I'm like, I kind of just wanted to talk about the kids and their lives and their struggles in isolation and not muddy that by talking about the other stuff.
Sure.
So that's my bias here. So that being said, I like to talk about the A plot.
Okay.
And again, I'll repeat what I said at the start of the episode that I really dug the heart of all of this. I'm just going to go through some of these moments and threads really quickly, just to kind of emphasize how much stuff is going on and how heavy it is. We have Anya's heartbreaking, sobbing confessions and like tragic, sad weeping that she doesn't want to die. We have Amesh's complex, layered grappling with having lived a full year, thinking that he's going to die any day now, and yet not dying yet, the Death Day celebration. And then his feelings for Natsuki, which he is, I think, quietly struggling with. And I'm actually still not entirely sure, like, why doesn't he go for it? Is it because he's afraid to, like any young man would be, or is it because he doesn't want to, like, do that to her, where he's gonna die and leave her? And I feel like that's a beat that maybe we will find out the truth of later, but I'm just flagging that for now.
Sure.
Him getting the PlayStation, an amazing moment. It was even set up. I didn't see that coming.
No.
Ilanka getting the wig, to me, was a beautiful moment. It was very, it was very, like, succinctly set up in the last episode and relatively briefly paid off here, but it landed really hard for me. I thought it was a great moment. So and there's more, like, there's more than just this, but this was like bam, 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 just like nailing me with these really beautiful, heartfelt, amazingly acted moments. And it's kind of hard not to love the episode overall when it contains this stuff.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with all of that. I mean, I think that maybe we'll zoom in on Cherie first here because she gets some great moments in this episode. Like kind of up until this point in the show has kind of served as just the comedic relief. Like she's the butt of every joke. Everyone's like, oh, she's the compulsive liar that no one can believe anything she said, and she's constantly making up stories. And even the nurse practitioners don't actually believe some of the stories she's telling. And she has this what her parents are. She definitely has a complicated relationship with them, and we've slowly kind of started to give her more pathos and make it clear that she cares about these people just as much as anyone else does. And then we get this kind of 1-2 punch that happens almost in succession of
this is for
her giving the wig to
Alanka,
and then her giving the PlayStation to Amesh. And it is this really interesting thing where
wait, you what? Try it on.
It kind of almost demands you think about what kind of person she is, right? And she doesn't even like see it as that big of a deal, I guess is what I'd say. Like she's like the question Alanka asks her in that beautiful scene is like, why did you do this? And
why?
She's like, well, you said you wanted it, right? And it's just like I think we kind of see through her parents that her parents like are clearly privileged, whether her mom is actually a famous movie star, whether her dad is actually this incredibly supercharged businessman, which it seems like that's at least partially true because of the things she has access to. Whether that's true or not, it's definitely like their love is shown to her via like gifts, right? That's all we've seen of them actually is the things that they've given her, the stuffed animals and the soaps and things like that. And so like she expresses how she cares about people through giving them stuff as well. And that's just what she does. And she doesn't even really think about it. It's like, you wanted this. I have the ability to get it for you. And I'm going to do that. End of story.
Right. And it shows like she does pay attention to the others.
Yeah.
She does care about the others. She wants, she just doesn't express herself the way that other people do. She, maybe it makes her, anxious to do so. Maybe, I don't know. It's just a personality thing. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like this, right? I like that she's no longer just the comic relief, although she is still quirky and fun, I think, but we're seeing the layers underneath that, and she's, becoming more of a, I mean, I think it's actually safe to say she was already a character who I cared about, but I just didn't know her, right?
Sure.
You can only really care about someone that you know to some degree. And now she has given these gifts to our other characters. We're starting to see what's under the surface. So yeah. I love that.
I love it too. And speaking of the director, I really love the way the wig scene is shot. It is this scene. First of all, it's in like the foyer of the house, and I don't even like I couldn't even tell you why like that makes such a difference to me, but it's in like, you have the light coming in from the windows, you have this incredibly open space and these two people just in the middle of the space interacting with each other. It's just like, it's different than if it was just like in a bedroom or like down a hallway or something. It just felt different to me that it was put there. It felt open, it felt warm. In a way that I can't even quite put my finger on, but also like the way this whole scene is shot in so much close up. We are like close in on the faces of both characters, Alanka, so we can like see just how much this actually means to her. Like like the scene where she puts the wig on for the first time, it's before we even have seen the great shot reflecting off of the mirror, but when she's just reacting to like it getting placed on her head, and like how much this mattered to her. And this was something that was consistent, all the way back in the first episode, right? We talked about this, that she dyed her hair at the very beginning of that first episode, and it was this important symbol of her transition to a new phase of her life, to a transition to a new phase of herself, and that was all taken away from her. And so this is giving her back something that perhaps she didn't even know would be possible to get back. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I wanted to also mention the mirror shot, just a very beautiful, kind of almost magical shot.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things about the way the scene plays out is, she brings the box in, and
Thank you. You're welcome.
if you have ever watched television before, you're like, that's the wig
Yeah.
that she's going to give to Alanka now. And she opens the box and she's telling this story about the wig maker and how she's the best wig maker in the world and how this wig is like $100,000. And the whole time you know that this is for Alanka, and Alanka's like, wow, that's really cool. It's really cool that you have that wig. And it's a total shock to her when she's like, no, this is for you, dummy. And you I don't know, I found that delightful, the mechanics of that scene.
But again, and maybe I'm just reading this wrong, but to me it wasn't even Cherie like building to the moment of reveal where she's like, and it's yours. She wasn't even thinking about that. Like maybe in Cherie's head she's already like, Alanka clearly knows this is for her.
Right.
Because she's just like, the way it's revealed to her is just this casual, like, you know, you and I might be the only two people in the world that have these wigs without having to go to Italy to get them. And it's only after Alanka's confused face, she goes, oh yeah, no, this is yours, dummy. Yeah. Like she doesn't say dummy, but like dummy is like underwritten in all of this.
Yeah. That, no, I agree that she wasn't, she just thought that Alanka would assume that, because it's like, in her mind, it's like, yeah, that you know, getting amazing shit for free for no reason is normal.
Yeah.
And here's some for you, and here's some for you, and
yeah.
So
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I think at this point, I assume that her parents are just, you know, super rich and well connected, but they're just like busy jet setting people, so they don't have time to be around her.
Sure.
And that's, you know, incredibly sad. Actually,
it's very sad. Yeah.
So
I didn't see any games in the box along with the PlayStation for our good friend Amesh. I hope there's some games in there.
I'm sure Cherie will get them for him.
I just want, like, I am such a weird person that like the first thing I did was Googled, did the original PlayStation come with any games in the box? No is the answer. It came with demo discs for several games, but it was not packaged with a full game itself.
If you've never played a PS1 game in your life, a demo disc, it's probably fine.
Look, I don't think Amesh should be looking at a gift horse in the mouth. Certainly, it's one of the nicest, kindest gestures that anyone's ever done, and it means the absolute world to him. But like, I would be looking at the bottom of that box, and be like, "Where's Twisted Metal?"
I just looked up what games the PS1 launched with. Oh, okay, NBA Jam Tournament Edition. Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
We're good.
Amesh is going to be all right. Street Fighter.
Hell
the
yeah.
movie.
The movie? The game?
That's confusing.
One other thing that I think is worth pointing out about this scene is we learn in the wig scene that Cherie measured her head a week ago. And that was in the moments right after Anya had OD'd, right? And so it's been a full week during the events of this episode since the events of last episode. And I only bring this up to say, like, multiple people have mentioned that like time in this place is weird. And I think that's one thing that the show is maybe intentionally, maybe not, reinforcing just the idea that like a whole week goes by and there is no transition point for us except this offhanded comment about how that's why I measured your head last week, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess, I mean, is it meant to be supernatural, or is it just the fact that when you don't have a job and you don't have school and you're just kind of vibing,
yeah,
time's gonna pass pretty quickly, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it's that. I don't think it's anything supernatural. I just think it's in this place with this very real clock ticking down that is your impending death. Time just kind of feels weird to these people.
Yeah. I guess I'm just referencing, you know, Anya's thing she said like way earlier in the show where she's like, this one person got obsessed with the idea that the clocks ran faster inside the house or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, maybe she was just telling the truth, and yeah. I mean, our friend Michael he's told you his theory on time, right?
Probably, but refresh me.
It's just that he thinks time in general is speeding up for everyone, just like universally. across the universe, and that's why as you get older, it feels like things are moving faster because relative they are, because your baseline is however fast time moved when you were a kid, and then it's all sped up since then. So,
well, he is a scientist.
He is. He does have a PhD. I hope he doesn't lose it after I've told the public his great scientific theory. But yeah, the point is, I love Cherie. I think it's great. I do want to say, like, we haven't talked about the book much in the past few days. So Cherie is a character that doesn't exist in the book, but we've kind of, and we've talked about this already, we kind of took the character of Sandra, from the book, and we've kind of split her into two characters, right? We have the ultra religious part of her that is Sandra, and then we have the kind of on the outside looking in character that never participates in the actual stories in Cherie, right? And I don't know, like, I guess complaint I had about the book is I kind of feel like they did that character dirty in the book, where like, oh, you're not actually dying, so you don't get to be part of this group, right? And I mean, that this show, we don't know if the show is going to have that same plot point in it, right? But it's positioned Cherie as like, she's the one that never tells a story. She's a member of the club, but she doesn't participate. And I just like the show is fleshing out every single one of these characters in a way better than I think the book, because I think it did that. The book did that character dirty a little bit. Like,
yeah,
it just shoved her off, kind of.
Yeah, I think she's just this vector of injustice injected into Ilanka's life.
Yeah,
where it's like, why do you get to survive? I was supposed to be the one who was going to survive.
Sure.
It's interesting for me. So, not knowing where things are going, just to do a little bit of theory crafting. We don't do a lot of theory crafting on this show for whatever reason. But, if we're going to keep the plot beat where one of the kids is misdiagnosed and gets to leave, which kid would it be?
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of reflexively want to say, well, it's going to either be Sandra or Cherie, for the reasons you just said, that Cherie doesn't tell any stories, so she's not really part of the Midnight Club, but also Sandra is named after that character, and she does have something in common with that character.
Yeah.
I think I imagine that if Sandra were the one who found out she was misdiagnosed, she would actually, I mean, there would be an enormous relief, obviously. I'm not going to pretend that she would be net sad to find out that she's not going to die, but I think she would feel incredible guilt, like survivor's guilt, and I think that would be a harrowing experience for her to have attached to all these other kids, and then she gets to live and they all have to die. I think that, so do I think that, and then alternatively, Cherie, because we haven't invested in her character so much, her leaving would be less of a wound, and the other kids also they don't know her that well, right? So it's kind of less dramatic. So I guess, I don't know, I slightly lean toward actually it being Sandra who is the one who leaves, because that would be more dramatic the way I'm thinking about it right now.
Sure. Yeah. No, I like that. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. We don't even know if they're gonna do this plot in the show as well. So
true.
I like your line of thinking. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
All right. Do you want to talk about Amesh? So the problem with getting into Amesh, I think, is it starts to blur into his story, and I don't know if we want to tackle that right away or not.
We can hit everything else except Amesh, and then kind of follow that through to the B plot.
Let's talk about Anya a little bit here. So Anya's the character we left last episode, left her with, she had collapsed in her chair. We see here in this episode, it opens with Ilanka performing CPR on her. She's able to resuscitate her. And then we get this really interesting kind of moral quagmire of a question that the show presents us to, because we learn that Anya has a do not resuscitate order on her. And Ilanka feels this kind of incredible guilt for, in her mind, kind of taking away Anya's agency by doing that, even though she didn't know. What did you think about this? I think this is really interesting, and it led me down to a path of like literally like investigating what parts of a DNR are you like legally required to follow, and then like the morality of this whole thing. It's actually a really interesting kind of quagmire of a thing. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I couldn't help but be a little bit, Doyleistic and analytical, and say, are we setting something up? Are we setting up a idea where we're going to introduce the ethics of honoring someone's choice? And I guess I'm already thinking ahead to the fact that Anya in the book explicitly commits assisted suicide, which is her own wish, right? And it's the thing about a DNR to me. I'm trying to find a way to say this that does not imply any particular opinion on my own part, because it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, a DNR and assisted suicide are kind of 2 points on a spectrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like we could save you, we could try to save you at least. We could probably succeed in saving you, but you're basically saying, nah, if I flatline again, just that's the universe telling me it's time to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then assisted suicide is, the person kind of proactively deciding, hey, it's time for me to go, right? And so I feel like introducing a DNR is an interesting first pitch of this concept into the story as a setup.
Sure.
I felt more than anything that it was setting this up rather than specifically being, an issue, because really it doesn't come to much, right? It's Ilanka kind of freaks out, like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that, and then the caretaker is like, no, you're not supposed to, like, not do something if you see someone hurt. That's first of all, you don't work here, so you're not bound by it, right?
Sure.
But it's the ethics of the thing that Ilanka is concerned with. So
yeah. I mean, it is really interesting. Like what Stanton says here is DNR does not mean do not treat, and that is true from my understanding. Like, especially when it's something like an overdose, right? I think, and like actual laws around this differ from state to state and country to country, I'm sure. But like there are some that's a DNR is specific about, like CPR. Like the performing CPR on someone, as you said, someone has flatlined, they are dead. Do not bring me back. Versus someone has OD'd on something, or tried to, or like intentionally or unintentionally OD'd on something, and your duties as a physician to treat that emergency situation, right? And this is like, there is no, like, from a legal standpoint it's very clear because it's a law, but like yeah from an ethical standpoint there's no clear delineation here. And why this conversation matters in the course of the story is because Ilanka doesn't seem to care that Stanton absolves her of this, right? Like, we have this whole conversation. I kind of love this conversation, by the way, for multiple reasons. Like, it starts out, they're talking to each other. She says, Stanton says to her, apparently she was palming her pills. You didn't know about that? And then of course she did. Everyone knew about it, right? And it's almost this moment of like, I don't want to say like Stanton was trying to make Ilanka feel guilty. I don't think she was, but Ilanka is not fazed by that at all. Ilanka seemingly has no guilt about informing Stanton about palming her pills, because she redirects the conversation immediately. Stanton says, you didn't know about that? And she doesn't answer that question. She just immediately goes to that Mark mentioned something about a DNR. Because that is ultimately what she cares about. And Stanton gives her this line about, as we said, do not treat. And then the first thing we see Ilanka do is go to Anya and apologize. Because like she's still feeling the guilt for it. She's feeling like she betrayed her roommate and friend in some way by doing this.
But, really interesting kind of surprise to me, though, was when Anya does give her tearful confession, and then her, like we said earlier, heart-wrenching sobbing, I don't want to die. I was like, wow, like, are we not going to do the same thing that we did in the book with Anya? Because she seems terrified of death. She seems desperate to live. Actually, even she has all of the same guilt that she had in the book. I mean, it's different. It's a different situation, but it's not better. it's terrible. But she desperately doesn't want to die, and so I'm just like, I don't know where we're going with this, which is fun. I kind of like that we have all these same elements, but I feel very on my toes, like we could do something very different with this.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the event of the book, which is her, it's Spence smothering her in the book, right? That's how it happens.
Right. I think she might take something to kind of
she does
help the process along.
Yeah. But it feels like perhaps that is what happened at the end of last week's episode and the beginning of this episode, like, was that. And then the show says, but we're not going to have her die there, and we're going to do something else. So I'm not saying that's definitively what's going to happen. We could go back to that, but it feels like that. I remember feeling that the first time I watched it, for sure.
That makes sense to me, because she did overdose. She literally did.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But that moment at the end with her, I think, is probably the moment you were perhaps waiting for, when she connects the things that we already knew about her via the Tudena story to the rest of Anya's story, which plays out very similar to the way it does in the book, at least in the way she tells Anya, or she tells Alanka the truth after she's told the story. Yeah, different. I actually, like, we commented on this in the book that, like, every single one of the things that happened to the kids was related to romance or love troubles, and like every single one of them. And I like that the show has taken the tactic of, like, well, we don't have to do that with every single one. Like, we noted in the Tudena story that the Bill character in the story was her best friend. It was not her boyfriend. And the same is true in the real life version of the story as well, that this was Anya's friend, Rhett, his name is in this one. But essentially the thing plays out the same way, where she throws the statue at him. Or I think in the book he dropped the statue, right? Because he was mad.
In the book,
her.
he smacked it off the where it was sitting.
Yeah. But the statue with the broken leg, as you predicted, Matt, that is something that is very important in the book, but that we see. I love the wrinkle of the guilt she's carrying for her parents, right? We knew Anya didn't have people coming to visit her on Parents' Day. We didn't know why. And then this is why her parents are dead. And she feels responsible for that death. So she's carrying this guilt. And in the book, she was carrying the guilt for breaking the heart of her first love. I like this better. I do. I think it is differentiating her from some of the other characters and some of the problems the other characters are going through in a way that is unique and explains, this level of self-loathing she has, that I completely understand, that, like, she feels like this was all her fault. I just really like it.
Yeah. I mean, I admit part of it is just that this is a TV show and that we have actors who are giving amazing performances, but I just care about this version of Anya like a million times more than I cared about the book Anya.
Sure.
And part of it, I think, beyond just the performance, is what you just said. It's sort of a more, I don't know, relatable whole package of who she is and where she came from and what she feels guilty about.
Yeah. I don't, like, there's something, okay, this is going to be mean. You break your boyfriend's heart in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You cheated on your boyfriend. You're a teenager and you cheated on your boyfriend, and it was mean and it was hurtful and it was fucked up. But, like, that's not like the most horrible thing a human being has ever done in the history of the world, right? And Anya wasn't responsible for her parents' death, but you could totally understand why that event would lead to someone truly despising themselves in the way we see the Anya of the show, and the way her hatred of herself is reflected in how she treats everyone else around her.
Yeah.
I just think it's much more emotionally impactful, and I think that's why you relate to her more.
I agree with that.
Also, the show, like, just by the nature of this being a television show over multiple episodes, we've gotten a lot of time with her, right? Like, she was the first story technically in the second episode, but really like Anya's story has been like the through line of, I mean, Alanka's story is like clearly the through line of this whole show, but like secondarily to that is Anya's story, right? I mean, the event at the end of this episode that is kind of going to propel us into the next episode is Anya is sobbing to Alanka saying, I don't want to die. And Alanka is looking past her at the Athena Bible or Athena diary on her, the thing with the all the great mysteries of how to cure cancer magically with this cult magic. And that's what leads us into the next episode. So yeah, like Anya's deterioration and impending death are like, and who she is and why she is this way are like, yeah, definitely the second most important overarching plot line so far, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That is the one point where I feel the connection to the cult stuff actually beginning to have, matter to me.
Yeah. But also in a way that's like worrying a little bit, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, clearly like Ilanka should be there to console her friend. She should not be looking at this deadly, dangerous cult thing that is definitely not going to work and probably going to get people killed if she does try it. Like, I think even if I didn't have a certain predisposition and even if I wasn't coming from the book, I think I would still feel like you're not meant to dabble in the dark magics, Ilanka. Like, it's clearly bad.
Well, especially like the way it's presented to us, and this is kind of moving to your dubbed C plot a little bit here, if that's all right with you. But
yeah.
The way it's presented to us is Ilanka tells us the story of Aseso and her Paragon cult, and how these people like started as this naturopathic group, but then got like more and more into this stuff, to the point where they were making blood sacrifices, and that eventually she cult mass suicided them all,
accidentally.
and then like, so we're looking at all this stuff and we're understanding that Alanka has learned all this information and understands that if she believes what she believes, which is that Aseso did this because she killed all these people because she felt that like this kind of blood magic requires sacrifice in order to grant life, then she's sitting there hugging her friend and looking at this book going like, oh, I gotta save Anya. What is the cost of that going to be? Like, that's your brain almost goes immediately to like, weren't you paying attention? Did you see where all those other people died? Did you see that part? And so yeah, you're a bit like, and I actually think the show sets this up beautifully once again with like Kevin kind of continuously playing the role of listening kindly to the things that Alanka is telling him, but then also being like, that's fucking crazy. Because that's what he does here, right? She tells the whole story of Aseso and her cult and her daughter Athena, and he goes, he says, it's fucked up is what it is. Poisoning people because of some bullshit old stories.
It's fucked up is what it is.
And Alanka's response to that is, well, she really thought it could make her live longer, which is not a like agreement. It's not a like, you're right, it is pretty fucked up. It's like a, yeah, but like she believed this is true, and through the transitive property, so do I.
Right.
Because she even says later in the conversation, it isn't about believing. Here's what I know. This cult did this stuff. Then a person came here, found the cult stuff, knew how it all worked, and then left cured. Ergo, it's all real. It must be.
Yeah. Well, she is very smart. So
Sure.
She's put it all together.
She is very smart, but she's also desperate, right? And
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. The joke I'm making is not that she isn't smart, but it is in fact that smart people can convince themselves of anything if they're desperate to. I love. I just realized while we're talking that Kevin is Scully and Ilanka is Mulder.
That's perfect. Yeah.
That is what is happening in the show.
Of course, in the X-Files, Scully was continuously confronted with supernatural stuff and then went, no, this can't be. Whereas that hasn't actually happened to Kevin yet. Or has it? I mean,
or has it?
Once, it is really interesting when you really start examining the show, and maybe we're reading too much into it. We've been known to do that at times. There are so many recurring beats of something weird happening and a person going, nah, I'm high. Nah, it must be the drugs. Nah, it must be the weed. It's just like everyone is so ready and willing to push any weird stuff that happens off on drugs constantly. And we already talked about this with your Kevin suspicions after the Wicked Heart, right? Of like, he is very ready to jump in and be like, on the drugs again. And that kind of happens again when she has that vision and ends up down in the library and bumps into Kevin there, which I really adore that scene, by the way, when he's like, it's midnight.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Right.
But they just so quickly go to, those brownies were really good.
Yeah.
Now I've smoked marijuana before. Don't arrest me. I don't do it a lot, but I've done it. I've never had like a full on like hallucination from it.
Yeah, I don't think it works that way.
I don't think so either.
I think, I mean, I don't know. Since this beat hasn't been reinforced, I'm less confident in it, but I still think it's plausible that he has seen stuff and he has chosen to just say, nah, that's nothing. That's nothing.
Yeah.
And, and then we have this moment, this episode, it's a minor moment, but I think it's important, where Spence tells everyone, hey, I experienced something weird. I heard a voice say my name. I think maybe, then there was nothing there. It's very ambiguous, but it clearly, we were there with him. It clearly freaked him out, and it freaked him out enough that he told everyone about it. So other people are getting these signals. I wouldn't be at all surprised to learn that Kevin was too. It's funny, the moment you pointed out where she finds him in the library, the way it's set up, you're almost like, yeah, Kevin, what are you doing here? And then it's like, oh, she just has walked to the midnight club.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's nothing.
One thing I didn't realize the first time I watched that scene was, so she's kind of led by the strange apparition of this old woman that she's been seeing since the first day she's gotten here. And the woman actually leads her outside, and she opens the front door. And when she steps through the front door, then she's in the library, which is not something I noticed the first time I watched it.
I sort of did, and then I immediately forgot until you pointed it out just now. But yes, I was thinking about that because I was remembering the story of the girl who, was cured, and how her story was that she disappeared into the woods. And I was like, oh, is that what's going to happen now? Is Ilanka going to go outside and then ...
Yeah.
But, no. But I did think it was interesting because it's like, yeah, maybe this is part of that story, is like the ghost, the old lady ghost is trying to lead her outside.
Yeah.
Trying to tell her something, like, you need to be going, even the juxtaposition of like, you open the door to go outside, and where do you go? To the midnight club. It's like these ideas are connected. It's like, it's the significance of the midnight club, the significance of going outdoors into the forest, the healing forest with its magical healing properties that Samantha Sloyan is trying to harvest. I don't quite have the theory settled down, but that does feel very significant. I agree.
Do you have any idea of like who this old woman could be, and why Ilanka is seeing her so apparently throughout the whole show?
Not really. I mean, we have a few names at this point. Like, it could be one of the old cultists, or the character, the daughter of the cultist. I didn't write down her. Athena.
Yeah.
Could be her. I forget the timeline of events, but I just don't lean any particular direction, so sure. I'm not gonna. Yeah.
By the way, I say so. You probably recognize this. That's Katie Parker.
Yep.
She's back again. Been seeing her since the very beginning, and here she is again, playing a completely normal, crazy cultist.
completely normal. Yeah, once again, she gets to be like an ethereal being from the past in a flashback.
And she's an ethereal being from the past of our show because
Yeah,
we've been with her since the very beginning.
that's true.
Another fun fact for you, Athena, the little girl, the daughter of Aceso, is played by Emma Tremblay, who is Jacob Tremblay's older sister. That's fun for you.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to maybe talk, like, I kind of spent way too long, like, researching these 5 goddesses to see if there was anything else I could glean from this. You know, we have Aceso, we have Panacea, we have Hygeia, Iaso, and Aglalia. They basically are supposed to represent, like, it like holistic medicine, right? It is this kind of, these are all the different shapes and pieces of the healing like what healing is. You know, Panacea is the cure, right? Hygeia is cleanliness, it is the preventative part. Aceso and Iaso are kind of close together. I actually had to spend some time figuring out the difference because Aceso is the goddess of the healing process, the process of healing, like the idea that healing is not, I think this is actually ironic and perhaps intentional, they picked this one, that healing is not some sort of immediate cure-all panacea magic thing, that healing is a slow process that takes time to do. And Iaso is actually like the goddess of like recovery. So I was like, what's the difference between the healing process and recovery? Well, I think Aceso is like the act of healing, the act of the actual healing, whereas Iaso is supposed to represent like the state of being in a recovery period post-illness. That's different. But point is, I spent all this time researching this and I didn't want it to go to waste. So it doesn't really have anything to do with this episode, but I just thought it'd be fun to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's philosophically interesting that they chose to break it down so, you know, discreetly into these different concepts where it's just like, yeah, you get better. It's like, well, this is what they had instead of science, I guess. So
yeah, but they wanted to look at all the different ways of getting better, right? And I love the way that like each step of it, like hygiene, that's one, that's preventative, that's important. There's their own goddess of that. And then the cure itself, that's important, that's great. The process of being cured, the recovery period of being cured.
I always like to think of all like the gods in any sort of pantheistic religion as being somewhat like adaptive to believe in the Darwinian sense, where it's like, if you walk around believing that there's a goddess called Hygeia, maybe you're more likely to survive because you keep clean better.
Sure.
And so there's all these like pieces of knowledge that are embedded in these concepts because humans are so much better at remembering characters than we are facts.
Yeah. The one unique thing about them is, like, you know, in Greek mythology, you have a lot of gods that have like stories and plots and things that they did that like are like represented physically as physical beings that did stuff. And then you have one like these 5, which are really just ideas personified. Like there is no story of Aceso. There's no like, at least none that we've found, right? They're very possible there could have been but it's lost by time. But like these goddesses aren't really like personified. They are just ideas that have been given because we didn't understand how any of this stuff works. So it must be, there's some great power out there that says being clean is good. Yeah.
I mean, it's mysterious, right? It's like, why did that guy, he got injured and then his wound healed and then he's better. And that guy, he got injured and his wound festered and he died of it. Yeah. Like, what is the difference there? Let's break this down.
Yeah.
It's super, super important, actually.
Another fun beat here is that, like, so Aceso gives the name Athena to her daughter. Athena, of course, the goddess of wisdom. Nothing to do with the 5. Like, I like, there's no cross connection. There's no relation. There's with the exception that they are all Greek gods in Greek mythology. No relation there at all. And I think that's a very interesting choice, right? Of, you know, dualistically and Watsonian, like,
right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're meant to see Athena as being wise in the way that her mother was not, and put more credence in her choices, because so you really don't want to piss off Athena. Just by the way.
Yeah, in
It's a bad
general,
idea.
good call. Good call. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all this stuff leads us to, as you said, kind of the uncertainty of whether we should, how we should feel about Alanka heading down this path of, like, we don't know what's going to happen in next episode. I think we can safely guess that, like, one of the first things that's going to happen is Alanka's going to go, we got to do a ritual to save Anya.
Yeah. Got to do a blood ritual. That always ends up happening in groups of young people, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
In like a dorm setting, you're going to have some blood rituals.
Mm-hmm. One thing I wanted to make sure we did in this episode is we haven't talked about Amon Benson very much, the actress who plays Alanka. I just think she's doing a really good job. Like, I think she's saddled, especially in this episode, she's saddled with like a lot of exposition. She has to, like, not only in her narration, but just in like talking through stuff with Kevin and stuff like that. She's saddled with all of that and has to do all that while simultaneously also having these incredibly emotional scenes with the wig and everything else. And I just think she's like doing a really fantastic job with this character. Like, I think Alanka is a great character. She's a great central character to the show. And I'm really enjoying her a lot.
I also thought that she did a lot of silent kind of face acting stuff. She kind of has to be the scene partner to Anya in a way where she's not, she's more receiving the energy, but I was really compelled by her performance there. Even when she's just walking around the house in the dark, I think we probably said something about this when we covered Hush, actually, but just like how I really enjoy Kate Siegel's like ability to emote all these different things while being silent and reacting to things, because I mean, there's a lot of movies out there where a character is walking around quietly and you completely lose connection with the movie because the character's not able to, the actor's not able to emote, and
Yeah.
Kate Siegel does not have this problem.
Yeah.
And this actress also I thought was doing a really good job during the, again, like, she's scared, she's walking around the house in the dark. Okay, how does your face look when that's happening?
Yeah.
Because stuff needs to be happening on your face for me to buy that this is actually scary, or that you aren't just a person walking around with a camera following you. Anyway, I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah, great. I agree. Do you want to move to Amesh? I mean, I want to talk about Natsuki a little bit, but I think their storylines kind of very clearly cross here.
Yeah, let's move over to Amesh.
It is his death day, which is like, again, this is one of those things, little bits of like world building in this place is like, this is clearly like not the first time they've done something like this, right? That this is like a tradition here that whenever someone at Brightcliff makes it past the day they were supposed to die, they have this ceremony, they do this thing, and Amesh has, in a very characteristic of him fashion, like obsessed over this to every last detail. I love the idea that he wrote the entire speech that Spence is giving him, like the detail, like where you can see Amesh mouthing the words as Spence is reading them. I think that's pitch perfect. I love the detail of like they can't have balloons, so they just inflated like gloves to use as their balloons that they tied to sticks out there. Like I think the detail of it is all really, really great. And I just really enjoy the shit out of it. I think it's some great stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it was that emotional tone. I think there's a word for this that's escaping me in the moment, but it's like the fact that Amesh is trying to make this funny and kind of cute and ironic is really just underscoring how deep and painful this is. And seeing him even sort of try to put on a brave face and then kind of falter, and then put that brave face back on and try to be strong for other people, and then be just sort of caught by the magnitude of it and be silent. It was a very just compelling section. I was, if I have a favorite part of this episode, it's actually that. It's the Death Day scene overall. And I think everybody does a great job there because they're all getting an opportunity to act a little different from usual because they're all high. But it's just, I don't know, I just thought that was a fantastic scene.
Did you notice that Anya doesn't say a single word.
I mean, I noticed that overall in this episode, she has been extremely reserved, but I don't know if I noticed like in that particular scene.
Well, she's not at the actual reading of the story, right? So we don't get any of the classic like Anya sarcastic interjections to Amesh's story, which I'm sure she would have plenty. But she is there during his death day ceremony, and I don't think she has a single line of dialogue throughout the entire thing, like to the point where after the first time I watched it, I was trying like, I know she missed the midnight club, but did she miss the death day thing too? It's like, no, she's there. The camera cuts to her very deliberately a few times, but no, she never says a single word, and that is very uncharacteristically Anya, right? Like, she is known for speaking up and saying things. And I thought about the why of that. And like the in-universe reason of the why is just like, she's still recovering. She got very close to death. She's exhausted. She's in pain. She's tired, and she's not acting like herself. Right. Then I started thinking about like symbolically, it's almost as if Anya is already kind of leaving a little bit. Like she's technically already died once. But she is like, she's not vocally present in that scene, and then she's not with them at the next Midnight Club meeting, and it's almost as if she's like pulling away because she knows what's coming.
Yeah, for a second I thought, is this a Bly Manor situation and she is in fact dead already? But I don't think we're doing that in this show.
No, it doesn't feel like that kind of shocking reveal of Anya's been dead the whole time. Yeah, no.
That wouldn't really feel right at all, but I think the thought is basically what you just said, which is she is spiritually leaving, even if it's not physically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's right.
I have a very important question to ask. How did they get weed?
Definitely from the nurse practitioner.
Mark?
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, I was 100% was my guess as well.
Yeah.
But yeah. Just like, hey, it's Amesh's death day. We need some weed. He would hook him up for sure.
Yeah,
for
100%.
Sure.
Yep.
I think that brings us to the conversation about Stanton. I want to get back to Amesh and Natsuki for sure, but I do want to take a brief pit stop to talk about Stanton. So the conversation starts with them saying like, do you think Stanton smokes weed? And everyone is like, oh yeah, 100%. And then they start kind of joking around about Stanton, which leads to Natsuki's like, think Stanton smokes weed. She sucks the souls of all the kids here and puts them in dolls. And I thought this was really interesting in reflection of you and I's kind of constant conversation over the last few weeks of like Stanton being always put in the role of the antagonist, or at least a antagonist in the stories the kids tell. And we actually got a really great comment from a listener, I can't remember their name, but just like saying they were less surprised by that because they're kids, and so they're putting one of the only authority figures they know in the position of authority in every single one of their stories, which certainly I completely agree with that. I think that's a fantastic point. But it is really interesting that they, once again, when they think about Stanton for any period of time, they are automatically crafting this huge narrative of maybe she's evil and hiding the bodies or doing some secret dark magic stuff with them, yada, yada, yada. I mean, and maybe it's just along the same line of thinking of like, yes, she's the only position of authority in their lives, essentially, and they are children. And so they are kind of, by their very nature, perhaps I shouldn't say that they're teenagers. They are by their nature a little distrustful of positions of authority.
I think that's right. I mean, I lean at this point toward all the indicators that Stanton is evil as being red herrings. That it's like, look, it makes sense that you would feel this way. She's not their warden, but she's sort of like, she's not only is she the authority figure, but she's the authority figure who is like presiding over their deaths. Mm-hmm. And like, I think the kids know intellectually that that's not her fault, but finding some resentment toward her wouldn't shock me. Like, what are you going to feel gratitude? I'm not grateful. I'm not grateful that I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know transference refers to something different than this, but I feel like it's like all the bad stuff about this situation and the fact that she is the boss of the whole situation kind of makes you feel like you're responsible for this. And it's like, well, no, but I see why you feel that way.
Yeah, she's the one handing out the pills, right? She's the one making them fill out the paperwork that says, she is the face of the reality of the situation and so yeah, it makes perfect sense that they'd want to personify her in that way. Yeah. And we'll see if it's something spookier, but I actually love Cherie's like excuse for why she smokes weed. She's like, she bought this place. Of course she needs something, and I don't see her being a drinker.
Yeah, I mean that. It's funny. Cherie gets a lot of little moments of characterization like that, where you're like, "Huh, yeah, good point."
But our conversation with Amesh leads to his kind of private conversation with Natsuki, because we basically see Natsuki come out late, and very deliberately, and the reason is because that entire week that it took for Ilanka's wig to arrive, Natsuki has basically not been around at all. She's been a no-show. She's lived in her room, and the reason is she's depressed. She has clinical depression. I really like this beat where she's talking to Amesh about this, and she says, I didn't know till I was here that there was a real name for it, right?
There was a real name.
That's a really fun beat, and it's a really 1990s beat, I think, because I think a kid of her age in 2026 absolutely knows what clinical depression is, right? Knows that it's a thing. We've done a very good job in the last 30 years of being more open and talking about that depression is a real thing, that really happens. It is a chemical imbalance in your brain, and sometimes you need to be medicated in order to help right that balance. And I just feel like kids are more exposed to the reality of that situation, and I think it is a reflection of 1994 that not so much, right?
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was realistic. And then I thought, Amesh's reaction to her saying that was pretty interesting, because he doesn't get all, taken aback, right? Like, oh no, let me bend over backwards. Like, I believe he just commiserates, basically. He's like, he just kind of tells a story about himself and how he's also struggling. And I thought it was played very deftly by, the actor / character, where it's not like, let me make this about me.
Exactly.
But just to be like, yeah, it sucks.
I understand.
I understand.
I'm going through not the same thing, but a similar thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it would, and it makes sense that you're feeling this way. It's not, you don't need to be ashamed of it. He doesn't say these things necessarily, but this is, I think, the subtext of the way that he says what he says.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. By the way, I love the way this scene is shot between the two of them. So we kind of have, she's sitting there by himself. He comes over, sits down next to her. They're kind of in two over the shoulder shots talking back and forth. And then there's this really great beat where she says, Dr. Stanton told me I have and at that moment we do a cut. We do a cut to a wide shot of the two of them standing there facing forward. They're not looking at each other. And then it says clinical depression. And then what, it's this great establishing moment of we're in a wide, they look so small in the frame. They're not looking at each other anymore. They're just looking forward. This is a thing that she probably had some amount of nervousness revealing to him or talking about to him. And she feels very nervous and isolated in that moment. And so it's not a warm shot that's over a shoulder, that it's this kind of, it's not empty. It's not just her in the frame, but it's kind of cold. It's wide. It's not intimate with the characters, because she's nervous about this. And then as she starts talking about it, especially as he starts talking back, we push in, and then we go back to the over the shoulders as they are commiserating with each other and understanding each other and bonding with each other. And as that increases, the tension between the two, the romantic tension between the two of them increases, to the point where there's this real moment of where you can see that maybe she's sitting there waiting to be kissed, right?
Yeah.
and he doesn't do it. And then what do we do at the end of the scene to leave that? We go back to the wide of just the two of them sitting there facing, not looking at each other. And it's this real great like visual language of like, we had this moment where she revealed something that made her nervous and they were perhaps separated. He did everything right. It brought them closer together. The camera gets closer to them. They're closer in the frame together. And then he fucks it up. And so we go back to that wide and we're left with, oh man.
Yeah. So I don't know about you. I mean, I think it'd be interesting if we do have different interpretations, because that's totally fine. But overall, my impression of the episode is not like it's not simply like Amesh needs to, sack up and kiss the girl. Like that's the through line. To me, it's much more like Amesh is feeling some really heavy feelings, really, really cares about this girl and would love to kiss her, but is dealing with all this other stuff and maybe doesn't want to pull her into that, knowing that he could die at any moment and that his life is like he knows there's no future for that, right? And maybe to him that's just like too heartbreaking of a thought. And so it's like, okay, I don't know, am I overcomplicating this? Because it does end, the episode does end with her just kind of refusing to let him not kiss her, and just kissing him, which is I like that ending to the episode.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't quite see it that way. I mean, I definitely think he has a lot of emotions mixed in there, and I don't think you're wrong that the fact that he is now a day past his death day and has no idea how much longer he's going to last is coming into it. But I definitely see, like, even in the fantasy version of his story that he builds for himself, where he gets to save the world, like he says in this moment, the only two things I've ever wanted is I want to save the world and get the girl. And so his story is him building a version of this where he gets to save the world, but he doesn't give himself the girl. He still doesn't give himself the girl, even in this fantasy version story that he's constructed for himself. And so there is a part of me that's just like, this guy is just kind of convinced that he is not worthy of that, in a way that
Mm-hmm.
no matter what happens, I will ultimately not get the girl in the end. And I can't see a situation in which I would. I am so far removed from seeing a situation in which I get the girl that I can't even make up a version of that. That I can't even do that.
Yeah.
I think he says to her, "Right, you write what you know," and that's all he knows. Which is ironic because she's right there in front of him, saying, "No." I mean, not saying, but being like, "Hey, I'm telling you, I didn't like the ending of that story. What do you think that means?"
Yeah,
Amesh.
I mean, again, this is interesting because I do think he totally knows that she is into him. What did I just say? He knows that she's into him, but he. So why doesn't he make a move? And I think it's as simple. Like, I don't think it's just like cowardice. Like, I think it's just a little more complicated than that. But maybe I'm just reading like extra layers into something that is really just a pretty straightforward story. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say. I think cowardice is the wrong word for sure. I just think like a lack of self-confidence. Yeah, of doubt. Yeah. Like, and it's very possible that I am just placing on this character. Me as a teenager, and who struggled with very similar things of like having crushes on girls, and maybe even like, I don't know. Again, maybe this is just me putting it on there, but like I remember there being girls in high school that I was pretty sure were into me. Pretty sure. Not 100% sure.
Yeah.
And the idea of going out on a limb and taking a shot on pretty sure was beyond the pale for me. Like I could not bring myself to do that.
Yeah.
And so I think you're right that Amesh, like, he's not an idiot, can tell on some level that maybe, but is it enough for him? Or maybe your read is totally right. Like, it is totally fair. I do think that is part of the equation of, like, this is doomed, essentially, because we are both definitely going to die sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it both ways for sure. Like, just the idea that they're having this conversation on this log on this moonlit beach, he is reading that as like, oh, she's just in a really, really bad place, and so I'm going to try to give her a little bit of comfort. And in her head, she's like, this guy's really cute, and we're alone, and this is kind of nice. And
yeah, maybe a little bit.
He's not letting himself go. Like, maybe he's kind of thinking that, but he's like, there's no way she's thinking that.
Yeah.
There's no way she's thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you remember having these internal conversations with yourself about, like,
oh God,
that definitely means that, but what if it doesn't, right? And, like,
yeah,
you know, probably in Natsuki's head, she's been holed up in her room in this depressive episode for a week, but the one thing that's going to make sure she gets out of that is this thing that's so important to Amesh, right? Like, that this is incredibly important to him, this day is. And so, of course, she's going to come out for it. That is a gesture that is sending all kinds of signals. And he probably is picking up on some of those signals. But then there's that little piece of self-doubt in the back of your head that says, am I reading too much into this? Is that not what it means at all? Is she just being a friend? Like, I remember those endless internal debates with myself constantly.
Yeah. Right. Well, there's also just, I mean, to verbalize the thing, right, which is the obvious, like, thing that we're actually afraid of, is not like, oh, she's going to say no. It's like, oh, I'm going to detonate what was actually a really nice friendship with this person by misinterpreting a signal. And then it's going to be weird. And that's even worse because we're not even going to be able to, like, live long enough to forget about it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to not make a move and not take the risk.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we talked about this because I don't know. I feel different than when I walked into this conversation. More, I don't know. There's a lot of dimensions to this, though. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. Cool. I think that ties nicely into the B plot.
Yep.
All right, let's get into it, Matt. Let's get into See You Later.
This episode of The Outer Limits.
Okay, so we've talked pretty glowingly positive about the rest of the episode so far. There was a thing that happened. You know, we talked about this already, that Mike sent us a very nice email kind of outlining some of the struggles with the show, and the changes to what happened in the show. And one of the things he said was, in the shift from the original design of, like, the B plot, the stories within the story being 90% of the episode and having, like, a 10% wrapper that is the Midnight Club itself, in the shift from moving that to a more 50-50 model, it messed up a lot of, like, the pace in the room for some of the stories, some of these stories within the stories. And when I read that, like, this is the one I was thinking of. Like, I'm closing my eyes and imagining someone writing up, like, the script for See You Later, the story within the story, and it being, like, this really cool, like, 42-minute script, right? And then them sitting in a room reading it and being like, that's awesome. That's great. I love it. Can you make it 21 minutes long? Can you cut half of this out? And, like, you know, with stuff like the Wicked Heart, that's one of several. With stuff like Give Me a Kiss, that's like a comedy beat almost played, so it works that short. With stuff like the two Anyas, that's like a pretty simple construction of a story. Ultimately, girl has a double. It's a metaphor for the two sides of a personality. Done. Easy to understand. With this story, you got three characters, and you got the future versions of the three characters, and you got like what happened to them, but like one of them died before, but he's back also, and they're like trying to do things, but what are they trying to do? One of them's trying to do this, the other's trying to do this, and the third, well, what's he trying to do? I don't actually know, because Frederick just shows up randomly. Like it's a much more complicated thing. And so when you again, this is all supposition, I don't know any of this, but like when you're trying to like pare down that story to fit into what is already a very stuffed episode of television, like you and I have been talking for an hour and a half, right? And we're just now getting to the story within the story, because so much else happens in this episode. We have to have the whole part with the Paragon cult, and then everything with Anya, and then the Death Day celebration itself, which is key to getting us to understand what we're about to do with this story. I think it just becomes very hard to pare the story down in a way to make it fit in the episode. And the result is it feels very rushed to me. It feels very fast to me. It feels like we don't get enough time with a lot of these characters to really understand them. And then there's moments like when Kara is telling Luke within the story the truth of everything. Hey, we're from the future. I am Becky. And then she goes, and Frederick. Frederick is actually Bobby, or what, I forget his name.
And Frederick,
the boyfriend. And in that reveal, it cuts to Michael Trucco,
my husband,
and it's like, oh, that's Frederick. We like the reveal of who Michael Trucco is playing in this episode is Kara's reveal about who everyone is, but we haven't actually met that character yet. Like, that's the first time we see him.
Honey, that's you.
And it's just like it just feels like everything's so crammed together. And there's still good stuff in it. Certainly. I mean, it's basically we took War Games, the movie, and made like an episode of the Midnight Club about it. But it just to me feels like that we go over it so quickly.
I mean, I think that's all true. And I'm not really gonna even try to say that that's actually good, but like I think a comment I said when we were talking about this earlier, which I then immediately realized is just my whole feeling about this part of the episode, is like it either needed to be more of a Philip K. Dick story or less of a Philip K. Dick story. And what I mean by that is it either needed to be completely incomprehensibly batshit, and have like even more unexplained elements, or it needed to have like one or two fewer elements. And I think it could have worked if it was more batshit and just like go for the sort of schlocky outer limits. I mean, Phil K. Dick is not schlocky, but he does not care whether you're following what's happening, and that's not the point. The point is actually the feeling of like I'm disoriented, and all these choices feel incredibly consequential, but I don't actually understand their implications, which kind of that is the kind of story this is, really.
Yeah.
Like if you sink into the perspective of the character that Amesh is playing in the story. So that was kind of my immediate reaction was just like, I kind of like how wacky this is. I actually wish it was wackier.
Yeah. That's kind of where I am too, because again, you know, the example here is the Gimme a Kiss story, which was just so absurd and stylistic in that absurdity that I think you can shrug off it a little bit. And this goes back to my conversation in the intro. I don't know why I can't shrug this off as much. Maybe it is played too straight at times. Because it's not like it is kind of a wacky plot, right? The idea is that like the future versions of characters are coming back because in the future they caused the apocalypse and they're trying to stop it. And Vincent, aka Luke's way of stopping it is he's going to code not the game, but he's going to try to program himself. That's kind of wacky. I like that.
Yeah. Very Phil K. Dick.
Yeah.
I also just thought the simple beat of he dies of a heart attack, but then inexplicably shows up in the past anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a Phil K. Dick beat. Like, these are like I like that actually.
It's funny because that is like an invention of the show, because I don't actually know this for sure. I have not read this is, of course, we always forget to say this until the very end of the show, but this is based on a Christopher Pike novel of the same name. That basically the broad plot lines are the same. This guy is a video game designer. He's really into this girl. And then two random people show up and start talking to him. He has a fast friendship with Vincent and Kara. And then this crazy dude shows up, and which ends up being the Frederick character. But I don't think it had the plot element of, but actually Vincent had died 5 years before we got sent back in time, because that feels like that was specifically added because we wanted to bring in the Amesh is going through the idea of approaching the day that you were supposed to be dead, and what, like, how you deal with that and what happens after you get past. And I like that part itself, but yeah, we have to do a lot of like, but yeah, I know he was already dead, but he gets sent back too, because that's like paramount to all this stuff working. And they have characters even say, well, but if he died 5 years before, why did he get sent back? And they're just like, I don't know. That's how it worked.
Yeah. That's what the light beings did,
Yeah.
which are actually the retrocausally active soul of humanity. Yeah, it's great. Like these are little like touches of other sci-fi things that I love that are just kind of like
Sure.
seasoning added to it.
Yeah.
No, it's I agree with you that it's rushed and complex in ways that leave you going like, wait a second, who is this?
The Frederick part of it is like the one where it's like, where I'm still like, okay, so can we just try to break this down? And maybe the problem is we're trying to break this down. Like, look, Amesh is a gamer. Video games, not great stories for the most part. And maybe that's
especially in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's the point. He hasn't played Final Fantasy VII yet. He doesn't know.
Yeah, but if he did, it would just reinforce his worldview that he's not going to get the girl.
Yeah, but also, gosh, like I love that game, but that is a convoluted storyline right out. Yeah, that's perfect.
That's
actually.
True. It's true.
So they all get sent back in time. The aliens or souls or angels, whatever you want to call them, send them back in time, give them a second chance. Luke is there specifically for a second chance to kind of like teach himself the better way. Kara is kind of obsessed with preventing her and her eventual husband from ever getting together because she blames their connection and interaction on what happened. And then
Wait, who are you talking
Frederick, who, once again, like,
Frederick.
why is he called Frederick? It's like, we don't even get, like, yeah, it's just, he's there to do what exactly?
about? We have to go.
We get established that he went crazy while in the orbital space station and is just kind of nuts, right? And so maybe he's just like blindly trying to kill anyone and everyone. Why does he kill Vincent / Luke? Just because he's crazy?
He's trying to stop him from becoming president.
But
I mean, I don't remember, honestly.
Does he not see that the thing that happened in the future was bad? Like,
I don't know. We don't really understand why he's doing anything. Well, okay, I don't remember that well. I wish I better remembered the conversation that they actually have when he stabs Vincent. But I don't.
He just like, he wants to understand like what he's doing and why he's trying to do it. And he can't understand that. And so he's just like, fine, I'm just going to stab you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's like substantially the weakest part of this whole situation, because he just kind of serves as a knife wielding antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, we don't understand his motives.
Maybe, I mean, I watched this episode a lot of times, but maybe I just not fully getting it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You're right that we could be missing something, but I think it is just literally a highly complex literal time travel story crammed into 20 minutes also doing double duty as a metaphorical story about what Amish is going through.
Yeah.
So like, okay, it's maybe a stitch got dropped somewhere, or maybe a scene got cut, right? I think the fact that that is the first time we meet Fred, what you just said a second ago, that's the kind of thing that makes me slightly think like maybe there was a prior scene that he was in that we were supposed to have seen that would contextualize this a bit.
Yeah. Like the first we hear of him, he's mentioned by the younger version of himself, but we have no context for what that means. So he's just like, he told me everything. And then he who? And then Frederick, he told me everything. And then Kara has like a shocked look on her face. It was like, okay, so she knows who Frederick is. Like when they originally got transported back in time, did they all arrive at like different places? So what is happening is I'm being a nitpicky asshole. And like the reason that happens, it was something we've talked about this many times before on other shows. It's like when someone's not working on you, you start like picking at it in a way that like when something works on you, you never pick at it in the way. Like we could probably pick at the Give Me a Kiss story for 5 hours if we wanted to, but I was just vibing with that one. And so I don't feel the need to do that. And it's like there's so many individual moments in this I really like Rahul Kohli is so enjoyable in this episode. Like he's in his element for sure.
He gets to be a gamer. It's great.
Yeah. And I didn't even notice because I was planning a real cheeky thing of like, well, wait, why did Luke suddenly get a British accent when he grew up? But like when he meets Vincent, Rahul Kohli is getting to just do his accent. But when he is being tortured by Frederick later in the episode, I didn't even notice this the first time I watched it. He's dropped the accent. It's Rahul Kohli doing an American accent.
Yeah.
Because part of his character as Vincent was British.
A fake British accent.
Which is great. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. So like I think the individual beats and like the moments, I think like there's also this really great stuff when you go back and watch it again. The first time Kara sees Luke sitting in the chair playing the game at Vincent's house, like she very clearly is like taken aback and like nervous and terrified for reasons that make no sense the first time you're watching it, and then make perfect sense. It's like, oh my god, this is him. This is him. This is why we're here. He's here. I'm incredibly nervous. Yeah.
I just have to say, I really like the shot of the space station going across the moon. Do you happen to know if that was CGI or if that was like a real astrophotography shot?
I have no idea.
Because it just looked really cool to me.
I have no idea. But actually, the International Space Station was not launched until 1998. So that doesn't make any sense.
So this episode was probably filmed after 1998. That's what you're saying?
Well, yes, obviously.
No, I remember.
To be clear, I don't give a shit. I know I'm making these anachronism jokes several times throughout the show so far. I don't actually care at all.
Well, it's funny because I remember my dad was super into the concept of the International Space Station even before it was launched, and we like him and me sort of did like a project on this where we like studied the schedule of when it was all going to be flown up there. Actually, little kid me was like, this is never going to fucking happen. This is all... I was such a cynical 12-year-old for some reason, but I was like, there's no way. They're just saying they're going to do this. And then one day I was like, oh, they did it? The whole thing? Wow.
It is pretty cool that we did that. And it's still there. And people are going to it constantly.
It's pretty awesome. It's orbiting constantly, right? And every once in a while you can find out it goes over your head and you can actually see it like it looks like a dot of light flying overhead. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And Vincent knows exactly where it'll be at all times because he's really good at what is it called? Sidereal coordinates.
Sidereal coordinates.
It's like these nerds. They know.
Yep.
I don't know what that is.
I think I distinctly remember that line being like, oh, that's like somebody on staff really knows their sci-fi jargon. Because I love that.
Yeah. I do really like the beat that Amesh gave Luke a bad heart in the story. Like this I think I don't think it maybe contradicts what you were saying about like why he's not making the move with Natsuki, but it is really interesting to me that like he's telling the story. This is obviously a surrogate for him and what he's going through, and he gives him a bad heart. He gives him a heart that does not work properly, and I wonder if that's a reflection of how he feels about himself, right? My heart had to work a little bit harder than most people's. Maybe he doesn't feel like his heart works correctly, and that's why he's never gotten the girl. Yeah,
I mean, just to say it, his actual illness is in his brain, but in the story he makes it his heart. He decides to say that's my actual flaw is my heart.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Another shot I really like is when Frederick kidnaps Vincent and then leaves a heart in the cutting board in their apartment with a knife in it. I'm just like, it's a really cool effect. It's awesome. I'm just trying to imagine like the actual like beat to beat steps that set up that thing. It's like, all right, this they're trying to fucking kill me. They're trying to fucking kill the young version of me. I'm gonna go kidnap him and fuck him up. But first, I gotta stop by a butcher.
Yeah,
and I gotta ask him for a pig heart. Or maybe he breaks into he said there's just formaldehyde on it, so maybe he like literally breaks into like a lab and rips a heart out of a cadaver or something.
Maybe.
It's wild.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a wild move. And like, yeah, like that's like, I don't know, that's the kind of tone that like when stuff like that happens, I think I'm with you, that I'm just like, that's ridiculous, but awesome. And it's like, what is it supposed to convey? Because Kara's like, formaldehyde. This isn't Vincent's heart. He didn't cut out the heart of my love and stab it on a table. It's just a message that I have him. You know what would work? A note.
Right. Well, and then he does kill him like 5 seconds later.
Yeah.
So. and then they kill. I mean, it's actually quite an interesting. I'm glad we took these zigs and zags, because I wanted to talk about the element that it ends with, the Natsuki insert dying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
at her own hand.
At her own hand, in a tragic accident. And I actually kind of left this episode feeling like, damn it, Natsuki's gonna die before their relationship can move forward. That's what you're gonna do to me. You've made me invested in this relationship, and it's actually not gonna be Amesh who dies, despite expecting to. It's gonna be her, and he's not gonna get the girl. And that's going to be really sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking when the story ended that way.
That's a bummer. I mean, they're all going to die, Matt.
They're all going to die, but you want them to have some measure of closure on something.
Sure.
Shallow as hollow as a comfort as that may be, it's something, right?
Yeah. Let's dive into this a little bit more, because I do think it's interesting. The character of Kara and the character of Vincent are both here to essentially accomplish the same thing, right? The world was destroyed. Luke wrote a program. He wrote he wrote code for the Department of Defense that allows them this incredibly powerful weapon system. Then put it in the hands of what turns out was not the correct person. And so they're back. They're getting a second chance to come back in time and prevent this from happening. Luke's way of doing it is, I need to talk myself into choosing a different path, or train myself. Not even talk myself into, but train myself. And I do it through video games, because this is how I relate to the world, and I see this is how he relates to the world as well. Kara's method to this is, well, really, it starts as just, I want to break up myself and my boyfriend, and I'm going to do that by hitting on the child version of my husband.
I've got a jack, cutie. You need help changing it?
Old kid dick, man.
And then when that, and then like forcing them to break up, which maybe solves the problem, but like it's never enough for her, right? You know, like that's how she starts. She's successful in that. Also, we see that Luke successfully teaches himself what the correct way is. He beats the game in the War Games way of the only way to win the game is to not play. Hooray. But it's not enough for her. She's undeterred. She's decided that the only way to truly save the world is to kill him. And she will not be deterred from that. And it costs her life. She kills herself instead. What are we saying ultimately with that?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think you're right. Like she feels all this culpability, but like maybe it's got nothing to do with her. Maybe it's just. I mean, interestingly, both of them are taking all these steps, but it's actually this this other guy, Frederick, who did it actually.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say, the fact that her, it wasn't really a sacrifice because it wasn't intentional, but her death leads him to lead a different life.
Yeah, Ray still becomes president, but he's a good man.
Yeah. And then Vincent doesn't die. Luke doesn't die.
Yeah.
In that timeline because he's more careful with his heart.
Careful for his heart.
That was the line that I'm glad we found.
Yeah.
Because he said why Vincent Luke was more careful with his heart in this timeline, and so he didn't die. And it's like, okay, so Amesh,
he doesn't want his heart broken.
He doesn't want his heart broken. He's going to be more careful with his heart.
Yeah.
But that means he's not going to get the girl because the girl's dead. That's my theory. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Like this is a great point because the two things he says he wants to do is he wants to save the world and get the girl, right? And then the way the story wraps up is it's saying like. So the lesson that Luke took from this whole thing is he was never going to stray from video games. I'm only going to code video games. I'm just going to dive into my games and I'm going to be very protective of my heart. Which like, I like video games, right? But that doesn't necessarily seem like, I mean, that's the way to ensure you survive, but are you living? Right?
Yeah. You can do both.
Because he wants to save he wants to save the world and get the girl. I guess by staying with games, he saves the world, right? Because it was straying from video games and getting a job with the Department of Defense that caused him to destroy the world. So by staying with video games, he saves the world, but doesn't get the girl. I mean, I think a gamer would construct a story in which him choosing to just make video games and nothing else is the best timeline. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought there was a really interesting beat in the story as well, where Kara says that she, like Ray, her husband, the president, was like about to launch the nukes, and she convinced him to not do it, but then it was too late anyway. Like that's
he launched them anyway, but after it was too late to have done anything different. So.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting beat, right? Because like. A different version of the story is like she tries to convince him not to launch them. He does it anyway. And everything is destroyed. But that's not what happens. Because maybe the reason for that is because that is part of the motivation of Ray, aka Frederick, is he blames her because, and we see this, right? What he says is like, it's her fault. If I had just done it when I wanted to, we would have won.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Oh, okay, you're right. I think that was the thing we were reaching for earlier is, yeah, I think he was basically saying all that needed to happen is for me to first strike the bad guys and then we would be fine. And the whole point of the video game is to say, no, there's no possible way to win. If you first strike, then they'll just shoot later and everyone still dies.
Yeah. So maybe what he is doing is teaching the version of himself that he needs to be more aggressive. Like Luke is teaching the young version of himself that he needs to look at the problem from different angles, not like the only way to win is not to play thing. Frederick is teaching Ray, no, don't listen to her. But then he's like mad and trying to stop the two of them from breaking up. I guess I wish I could have seen a scene with Frederick and Ray interacting and seeing actually what Frederick is saying to Ray.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I wish I had gotten to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think this matters. It was just hilarious because we've been talking about it for like 20 minutes, but like, I think the part of it that matters is how it relates to Amesh, as we talked about. And I think we're both there on it, that like, that is very effective and it works. And it really demonstrates him as who he is and what he thinks about and what he wants out of his life, whatever little bit of it he has left, and the parts that he thinks he's never going to get, and the tragedy of that in his mind. But it's just kind of what it is. And then the joy of that, of him being wrong, of her telling him through her actions that he's wrong.
Yes.
So
yes, all of that.
Episode good. Ignore everything I just said for 20 minutes.
I mean, interestingly, it didn't bug me as much as it bugged you, but now even like after talking about it, I think I just like it more because some of the things that I thought didn't make sense actually do make sense if you just talk them through.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think we talked through it. It's all there, right? It's just, it feels like it's just squeezed. And so it's harder to see because of all of its all of it's pushed together. It's harder to see the individual pieces of it. And it's like, it's interesting because I do appreciate that in the squeezed little story, we do have moments like the International Space Station moment. We have moments of like getting to see Luke at the end, grown up adult Raul Coley, like dealing with the fact that he lived longer than he was supposed to, that he's done it. We get these little beats and these little moments, and it's like, I'm glad the episode still made time for those. Even if some of the other stuff, it's all really Frederick. I think the core of my problem is just Frederick, which is like, I love Michael Trucco. Like I was so happy to see him here, but then I was like, wait, who is he? Who is this guy?
Well, I'm happy. I really like the episode overall. I really like the show overall. That was I was thinking when I finished this episode, I was like, no, I think this is my favorite episode. And then I was like, Matt, you said that about the last like 4 episodes. That can't be like, you can't actually live your life this way. And then I was like, you know what? I think that's just what I say when a show is really working for me. It's just whatever the episode is I just saw, I feel toward it the feeling of, that was great. This is my favorite. It's like, well, you're just enjoying the show, and it is just a good show. So calm down.
I am also enjoying the show. It is a good show. If this is my least favorite episode of the show, all that means, Matt, is we have 5 more episodes that are only going to be better, right?
Yeah.
My favorite episode of the show is still to come. I think you're going to really like it. I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but you'll know it when you see it. Yeah, I'm looking nowhere but up. There's a lot of good stuff in everything that's to come, and I think it's
all right.
It's pretty exciting for sure.
Great.
Anything else you wanted to talk about here?
And my bullets.
I just some fun stuff, some fun random stuff. The Starlight Crystal is the video game that Luke says he's working on. That is also a Christopher Pike novel. There you go. Becky is reading Electronic Gaming Monthly, which brought me right back to the whole game store. Like, I was like, I'm home. Like,
yeah.
I spent a lot of time in stores like that. I had a subscription to that magazine.
Yep.
That was all very, 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 very right in my mind.
I love that. I agree.
Mm-hmm. I think those. I feel bad for the video game Broadsword, which is not a real game, but I just feel like Broadsword got a bad rap from the two of these strategy game nuts saying, "Why are you playing Broadsword? What's wrong with Broadsword?"
Yeah. Well, isn't the joke that he just picked up a random game to have an excuse? Yeah.
He's not paying attention to the game.
That's great. Yeah.
But it gets caught in the crosshairs of this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like there was a version of me that had a critique of that the game within story was like a clearly bad game. But then I was like, well, yeah, duh. It's not supposed to be a game.
Yeah. Right. He's just tricking him into spending time on this problem.
Mm-hmm. What would you do? How many of them would you spin up?
I would spin up all of them, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
And I'd immediately fire them.
It's the only way to win.
I mean, if that doesn't win, then nothing wins.
You say the only way to win is not to play. I say the only way to win is to play as hard as possible.
Yeah.
Did you try that?
I mean, smartest man who ever lived was John von Neumann. He invented like everything. And he wanted us to first strike the Russians. So
just think of how much better the world would have been if we did that.
You said it, not me.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about like the idea of centering a whole episode around like nuclear morality, right? But
we didn't talk about that. We also didn't really talk about the fact that he says his goals are to save the world and get the girl, and it's like save the world is not a achievable thing, right? Like for anyone. I mean, actually,
I don't know. You like boot up Final Fantasy VII and save that world.
I mean, I get that. Like that's emotionally what he means is like that's what I want, but it's not. I'm just saying. Maybe to him the idea is these two things are both fantasies.
Yeah, I think yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he. I think the important distinction in his mind, yes, is exactly that. Thank you for saying this. Thank you for bringing this up. Saving the world as a goal of like is absurd. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Like
as for a teenager, it's like okay,
yeah,
sure.
In his mind, saying getting the girl is equally as absurd. There's no difference in his mind between those two things. They are both pie in the sky, absurd dreams to have, and that is Amesh, right? That is exactly who he is, and he can't see that even though the girl is standing right in front of him, opening her heart to him and her soul to him, and saying, "All like, yeah, and
cool.
And then thank God for her. Sometimes us shy, unconfident losers need the girl to turn back around and just fucking kiss us on the lips.
Yeah.
And then like the part, I was such a terrible little. There would be a version of High School Scott while being kissed that would go, does this mean she likes me? Because it could not. Maybe she's just doing it to be nice.
Yeah. Interesting play.
How is this going to result in me embarrassing myself for reading into a situation that it wasn't there? Wow.
Is she preparing for a play of some kind?
I expect this episode to unlock the core of my self-esteem issues as a 16-year-old. Wow.
Yeah, thanks for helping everyone with our public therapy session.
And just in case there is a 16-year-old kid listening to this right now, they do like you. Just go for it. And even if they don't, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's really not a big deal.
They usually do though.
Yeah, they probably do. If you think they do, I mean, don't like. Okay. You saw exactly the problem I just talked myself into there.
There is a problem.
Ask. Just ask.
Yeah. No. We get it.
Jesus. We really talked ourselves into a pickle here. So let's just hit the eject button and flee to the space station. All right. The next episode, Matt, is titled The Witch. Episode 6 is titled The Witch. So got any guesses on who's telling this story and what it's about?
Who has not told the story yet? Let's see.
I guess Natsuki technically, because her story was like the first one, but doesn't really count.
Sherry, obviously.
Spence.
I mean, that's it, right? Everybody else has at this point.
Yeah.
And that's weird.
But we do have the to be continued of the Wicked Heart, right? We haven't heard that story.
That's true.
And Alanka has technically, the only story Alanka has told has been the Jessica Jane story, right? So you could still include her on the list.
I'm leaning toward Natsuki though, because she's like central, and then we can pivot from this to her in the next one.
Sure.
And her first story wasn't a real story, like you said.
Definitely, yeah. Do you think when Spence tells the story, it will be his killer lunch lady story that he came up with? What was it called again? I wrote it down, but I can't find it.
I don't remember.
It's pretty good.
I hope so.
You think watching this episode multiple times I would just know these things, but nope. Can't find it. All right. So The Witch, you think it's a Natsuki episode. You were hopelessly wrong about this last time, so we'll see. You have to be right eventually, I think.
I do have to be right eventually. That's how that works.
Yeah. We will find out on next week's episode. Let's get to discussion questions.
Yep. Last week's question was, what's your favorite fictional serial killer story? Thank you for keeping it fictional, everyone. Really appreciate that. I was dreading for the entire last 2 weeks. I was like, oh, God. I'm going to regret having asked that. There's going to be a lot of really heinous shit. But no, everyone kept it light. All right. Hans Baka R23PO says, I'm going to keep this one super short because it's ultra popular and also the first thing that popped in my head. But John Doe from Seven is my favorite. Top 10 movie of all time for me and an absolute masterclass. Yep. Easily, just agree. Yeah.
Spadoinkle 1979 says, I'm sure I won't be the only one answering this, but my answer is the Trinity Killer, Arthur Mitchell, played by John Lithgow in Dexter. I have several reasons for this. First, I think Lithgow is an excellent actor, and I think he does a phenomenal job of playing a serial killer who manages to live a regular family life on the side. Second, not only was the fourth season of Dexter my favorite season of the show, it was the last season of the show that I truly enjoyed. Finally, as you can do with fiction, he was exactly what Dexter needed in his own messed up mind at the time. He was able to show Dexter that you can be a serial killer and still a loving husband and father. The irony of that statement is wonderful, given what happens in that show. I too think season 4 of Dexter is the best one. And did you watch Dexter?
I watched like the first 2 episodes, and I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed them, and I get that it's a well-loved show. Just never really got that into it.
Yeah, the finale of season 4 is one of the most like no fucking way, I can't believe you're doing this show moments in my TV watching history.
In like a bad way?
I mean, I was devastated. So like, and that's what the show wants you to do. So I guess no, like not in a bad way. I think the show is doing exactly like it's because the show had me. It had me.
Okay.
I was in love with the characters, and it broke my heart a little bit.
Gotcha. Apocalypse Win 7 says, my favorite fictional serial killer story is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, starring a young Michael Rooker. Unlike many other movies that tend to glorify the serial killer or make them seem cool or deep, there's nothing cool or deep about Henry. He's charmless, kind of dumb, repugnant, and cruel. The filmmakers want you to feel nothing toward him except for abject disgust. It does a great job at reflecting the reality that most serial killers are not the slick Dexter or Hannibal Lecter types.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I said when we last talked about this, about how like everybody has a serial killer phase. I think 90% of that for me was just Silence of the Lambs, full stop, because Hannibal Lecter is such an incredibly like mesmerizing character.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking that he's a cool character is not the same thing as being into serial killers. It's just like Anthony Hopkins does a really good job with the performance.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway.
Totally. All right. My favorite fictional no, you already read that one. So last year, in an attempt, I should say the name of the person first. I'm not doing good at this. Aqualungfish says, so last year, in an attempt to broaden my reading horizons, I asked my wife to tell me her favorite book from the romance genre, which she has been reading as a way to unwind for a while. She told me to read Butcher and Blackbird, and it turns out I really liked it. So that's my pick for this question. This book is about a pair of serial killers who fall in love over the course of a multi-year game to see who can handpick targets before the other. The guy, Rowan, is more of a standard serial killer, while the woman, Sloane, hunts only people who have hurt others. The thing about this book is it's just a fun time. Yes, there's a lot of messed up stuff. There's a page-long content warning at the start of every book in the series, because it's still about serial killers, but you grow to really like both of them very quickly. It's also just a really funny book. And the audiobook is pretty great since they have separate voice actors for the two main characters, and they recorded in the same room so they could play off each other well. Oh, and chunks of the book are basically just porn, if that's your thing. Look, this is a romance novel, so it doesn't do anything groundbreaking, but what's there is very well done, and the character work is great. So while the story is nothing special, it still does a great job making you care about what's happening to these objectively horrible people.
Sounds like it's got something there for everyone.
Yeah. That is something.
Yeah. That's a fun contribution. Thank you. Pobo321 says Leslie Vernon from Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Super creative take on the slasher trope, featuring a universe where killers like Mike Myers are actual historical figures. It's about a documentary crew documenting a man who seeks to become the next big bad through rigorous preparation and facilitating his own final girl encounter. I won't reveal the twist, but it's great. Really nails balancing meta with being a genuinely good horror story, similar to Cabin in the Woods.
Cool. I never heard of that.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. All right. Got a lot of answers for this one. Apparently, y'all are all sickos, just like me.
Everyone
loves serial killers.
You were correct, and everyone has their phase, Matt.
Yep. You mocked me. You tried to make me feel weird about this, but
you should still, but sure.
Everyone is a sick little pervert in their hearts. Hobo Demon says The Greasy Strangler, John Travolta's former hairdresser making weird serial killer film about a disco tour guide. I've heard about this a few times. I don't know anything about it though. Anyway,
that is one of the craziest movies I've ever seen.
You've seen it?
Yes, I loved it, but it is like you have to have a very specific sense of humor.
Okay.
And I found it hilarious. Part of it was I saw it at Fantastic Fest, and that's just like the perfect place to see a movie like this. So yeah.
Awesome. Villia says Hannibal Lecter films and the TV show with Anthony Hopkins and Mads Mikkelsen, which I never watched the TV show, but I you know what I'm going to say, Scott. Consumed the entire thing via YouTube clips. Anyway, yeah, great character.
Matt.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Yes, Scott?
Just watch the thing.
I don't have time.
You watch the YouTube clips.
I don't have time. Warped Core says Natural Born Killers as the Fever Dream movie. Yep, that's a good one. Both Anybody 5292 says Pearl from X film series, Corinthian from Sandman, and the original Black Christmas. Baby Can You Dig Your Sam says So I Married an Axe Murderer, the Mike Myers comedy. I like that one. Brave Run says Killer on the Road by Stephen Graham Jones with the bucket mouth serial killer. Wow, I really don't like the way the word bucket mouth sounds. I know nothing about this, but the bucket mouth, that's like the opposite of cellar door to me.
Wait, do you like the word cellar door?
That was Tolkien's favorite.
Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you for reminding me. Stephen Graham Jones is the guy who wrote The Only Good Indians, which was that horrifying, very good book we read. So
yeah,
I'm sure this is great.
Awesome. Steve Living Room CO says Red Dragon as the best Hannibal Lecter book. I haven't read Red Dragon, but I do love the movie.
I haven't read any of those books at all.
Oh yeah, neither have I. I've read none of them. Yeah. Amaranth Phantom says Silence of the Lambs as a movie and says the book ending is better than the film.
Impossible.
That's saying something because that's one of the best endings of all time for a film. Willow Chef says Mindhunter series with Cameron Britton as Ed Kemper, and The Outsider, and Black House, two Stephen King novels, one of which we read, Black House, and it does have a pretty messed up, disturbing serial killer villain.
Did you ever watch Mindhunter?
A little bit. I think maybe I watched the first season or something like that. Anyway,
that's our boy Fincher. It's great.
Yeah, it was great.
He never got to make a third season.
I know. It is. Sandy Bones says Death Proof, the Tarantino slasher with using the car as a weapon with Kurt Russell as stuntman Mike. That's very creative. I love that movie or whatever. Is it a movie? It's a piece of a movie.
Yeah.
DJ Nedelko says Stephen King's Strawberry Spring from the Night Shift collection. Yeah, we read that one. That was fun. I like that one a lot. Pear Jane says The Wannabe Killer from Hush, the Flanagan film that we discussed earlier.
I watched Hush in preparation for our Kate Siegel interview again, and that's a fun movie. I really like that movie.
That's great. OG Energy Vampire says Dexter Morgan in the recent reboot showing cracks of a longtime serial killer. I didn't know there was a reboot, did I? Anyway.
There was, and it's fairly popular. Well, okay, I'm confused because there was like a young Dexter one where they made like a prequel series about Dexter as a kid, and then there's a reboot that has the original actor as Dexter that I think takes place after the events of the other show, but maybe retcon some of them, that it like is at least well received from viewers. I think it did very well ratings wise. So I never watched it though.
Cool. Mary Liz 19 says My Friend Dahmer, a graphic novel by Durf Backdurf. Is that really okay? About going to school with Jeffrey Dahmer. Wow. Okay. That sounds really upsetting. Duran Longbeard says Dexter. Bent Westward says True Detective Season 1, mixing nihilism, occult murder, and buddy comedy dynamic. I also want to watch that. That's on my list of things. I wanted to just add one that I didn't see mentioned, which is the movie Art School Confidential, which is kind of a black comedy. Have you seen this one?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's sort of like a satire of a kid who goes to an art college and of like all the kinds of people you meet there. And one of the people he meets is a serial killer, played by Jim Broadbent, who, if you don't recognize his name, he's one of these character actors who's in everything. He's one of the Defense Against the Dark Arts professors in the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, I know Jim Broadbent. He's awesome.
But he's like really unnerving as this super intense serial killer character. Just wanted to mention that. Yeah. All right. Great. We did it. That was so many answers. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah. Y'all really like serial killers. All right. Matt. The next question. It's a really serious one. It's perhaps the most serious question we've ever asked.
Go for it.
You ready?
Yeah.
If you cheat on your girlfriend with an older time-traveling version of your girlfriend, does it count as cheating? And why? Or why not?
This is a subtle one. I hope everybody grapples with this.
It comes off as a joke, but what it actually ends up being is like a really like big existential question about the ethics of time travel in general. And I'd love for you all to tell me what you think.
Yeah. Just Scott asked me this earlier, and I had a knee-jerk answer, and then he was like, "Why?" And then I was like, "Oh my God, I can't explain why." So, good luck.
I have some pretty good reasons for why the answer is yes, but I want to hear from other people.
Cool.
It's the silliest one we've ever done.
Yes.
But that is going to do it for this week. Next week, we will continue with episode 6 of the Midnight Club titled The Witch, a Natsuki episode per Matt. We'll find out.
100% certainty. Remember, you can reach us via email at flanaganswakepod@gmail.com or over on X at flanaganswake19. We also always post a thread for the episode on Reddit at reddit.com/r/doofmedia, and that's the best place to answer the discussion question and just hang out and talk about stuff over there on the subreddit. Also, don't forget to watch every episode on YouTube and Spotify. Both. You watch it on YouTube, and then when you stop, go over to Spotify and watch it on Spotify. Just do both.
What? Great. Do that. I agree with Matt. That's a great idea to do that thing. It's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. But the other thing you can do while you're watching the same episode twice in two different places is you can head on over to doofmedia.myshopify.com and check out our merch store there. We've got great merchandise for Flanagan's Wake, for Kingslingers, for all the shows we do, and more. Check it out. It's a lot of cool stuff.
And if you like our show and you want to support us, then please consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/doofmedia. We've got our bonus podcast covering the TV show From over there. We also have a serial novel that I'm writing from week to week. And if you're a patron, you can vote on what direction the story takes. We're, as of this moment of recording, we're 4 chapters in. I guess it'll be 5 chapters by next week. But you know, the earlier you get in on that, the more influence you'll have. If you wait, the story will be over. You'll miss it.
You will miss it.
Ticking clock.
We hit our goal though, Matt. 1,000 patrons. We hit it.
Oh yeah,
we did it. Thank you everyone for helping with that. I am going to do my live stream discussion of me attempting to tier list every single Stephen King novel. It's possible I might have already done that by the time you guys are listening to this episode, because Matt is going to be out of town next week when this episode airs. And so I won't have any podcasts to do at night. So I might just do that instead. But if it's not out yet, it will be soon. Thank you for helping with that. If you haven't signed up on Patreon, you want to do it, because that's where I'm going to stream that. It'll be there on Patreon for anyone. It'll be free. But that's where I'm going to do it. So you don't want to miss it. Which novel is an S? You don't know.
Yeah.
Could be Tommy.
What's he going to say? Could be.
Yeah.
Well, should be.
You haven't read it. What do you mean?
Could be.
Please also, if you want to support us, you can do it by leaving us rating and reviews. We do, Matt, have a new review to read today. It's a pretty good one. You want to hear it?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
This is from Tea Time Tomes, who gives us 5 stars and says 5 huge cups of stars. I was so bummed when I heard Kingslingers was heading to the clearing at the end of the path. Then you announced that you would be heading to Flanagan's Wake, and the dark cloud lifted. From my favorite author to my favorite director. What a treat. Matt, Scott, thank you. This podcast is as much of a banger as Kingslingers, and I am one happy listener. Oh, well, thank you, Tea Time Tomes. I love that name, too. That's a great name. The alliteration makes me happy.
Yeah. And thanks for coming along with us on this journey.
Yeah, we appreciate a lot of you folks came over from Kingslingers. We appreciate it. If you haven't listened to that and you like Stephen King, there's a lot of stuff for you there. There's hundreds of hours of stuff for you there. Check it out as well.
Yep.
But we'll be back next week with episode 6 of the Midnight Club. Matt, we're halfway through. We're moving
awesome.
Right along.
I'm having fun.
Yeah. Until then, save the world and get the girl, Mr. Flanagan. But don't let her run herself over with a car.
Don't let her take you to a space station.
Yeah, bad call. If a girl, general rule, let's sync back up with the teens. Don't go to the space station with someone. It's a bad call.
He's right.
Matt just mugged for the camera for those of you listening. It's very important. We're stopping the episode now. Have a good week.